Hello? Hello? Let me turn this down a little bit. Well, hello everybody. And let me do this. Oh, here I am. Hello. Hello. What am I? So, yes. Here we are. Live stream time. We're going to make a super simple little game. And the super simple little game that we're going to attempt to make today is basically a copy of that game Flappy Bird. I've seen lots of people do tutorials and stuff on this game, but I've never actually tried making one myself. I know it's relatively simple, I understand the concept behind it, so we're going to try and see how it goes, do the whole process of starting and building the game from scratch. Pavel, Niall, Seung Woo, hello! How are all you wonderful people? Feeling good, I hope. Feeling wonderful. As you can see, we've got a big massive hello on the screen. So yeah, I'm going to start this off by making a new project. Like this. I'm using Unity 5.2 for anyone who's interested. We're going to call our name, our game, Flappy Birds. Because obviously you can't use the same name for a game. That would be bad. Oh no. It's too loud. I'm going to turn off this music now anyway. So. Oh god, what happened there? It jumped up like crazy. Music is now gone. Boop. Get rid of that. Now, here we go. Sorry about that. I don't know how that jumped up like crazy. It was down a little bit lower, so I'll just repeat myself. Because apparently I'm a fool. Hello, Pamela. Hello, Fabian. OK Draw. Gustav. How long will this take? Probably a couple of hours, I think, is my plan. Just need to make a subfolder here. Boop, like that. Okay. Let's name our project. Flappy Birds. Sup indeed. How is everybody? Okay, just wait for Unity to open up. So we're obviously going to need some art pieces for our Flappy Bird kind of game. So let's do that first. I have no idea how big to make anything. Or I always go for a single image thing. Just make it. Okay, we'll just do this. So, some things we need for this. We obviously need the little bird dude. We need those two pipes that he flies between the whole time. We need some kind of ground, and we need some kind of background, which will probably just be a basic color. Live sessions on YouTube will stay on YouTube as videos, right? Yep, they do indeed. They do indeed. You're doing awesome, got fibre internet finally after waiting 4 years. Yeah, I'm hopefully getting good internet in the next few days. Today's stream is still on my poor quality internet, but that's okay. There's still a lot you can do, hopefully. But yeah, so hopefully we'll get some. I might be doing more streams in the upcoming future, because hopefully I will have better internet. Okay, so let's make a little bird dude. He's gonna have little eyes. That the Flappy Bird kind of beak guy, or kind of guy, has this little beak here. We're gonna do it slightly different, so he's not just gonna be the same guy the whole time. But he's kind of gonna be similar looking. Oop, that doesn't look right. like this, and then like this. So look, he if you're familiar with the Flappy Bird game, which I presume most people are, because it was pretty crazily popular for a while there, and people learning to make games. It's a very popular tutorial for people in general. Or well, I don't know if it's popular as in like people, lots of people watch them, but lots of people make them. I know that much. So we'll just do a few bits here like this, and then ta-da! We've got a kind of weird looking bird dude. Oh, my nose is full of itchiness. 7 megabytes upload is better than 4.3 or 0.43. Yeah, I'm still here on the 0.43. So, have you ever considered making a top-down RPG tutorial for Unity? I have indeed. There may be something like that coming up in the near future. Keep your eyes peeled. Okay, that'll do for the basic body. I don't want to spend too much time drawing things here or anything. Let's make this guy a green dude. Like this. We'll give him a nice little orangey beak. Like this. Give him... Oh, no, stop that. We'll give him some white eyes. And obviously his arms need to be green as well. I just want to give a tiny little bit of shading to him. So we go whoop like this, and then whoop like this, and then look, he magically looks kind of 3D all of a sudden. That's the power of pixel art. That's the wonderful thing about pixel arts in general, is that it's very easy to make a little change, and it has a big effect on whatever it is you're doing. So there we go. There we go. Nice, simple little guy. Can you teach us how to do a wall jump? So I might do a special separate video on something like that. I've been thinking as well. Code Lyoko? Is it Code Lyoko or Codal Lyoko? I don't know. What's the best for someone who don't know how to code? Learn C# for Unity or Blueprint for Unreal? I'd recommend trying to learn C#. It can look complicated and daunting at first, but once you get the hang of it, it's pretty handy to know how to do stuff like that. Okay, what else do we need? So that's our little guy that's going to be flapping away. We're going to need those pipes that he flies through. So let's draw some of them quickly. So pipes obviously have to be a little bit wider than him. Let's go like this. Let's go that wide. I have a couple of images open here on my other computer to see. Just see roughly like scale wise and stuff like that. Is he using Pixel Edit free version? No, this is the full version of Pixel Edit, which is an extremely handy and very useful program for developing, or not, sorry, for pixel art. It's quite handy dandy. Okay, so this pipe I want to make just as long as I possibly can, because the idea is that these pipes will be, because of the nature of Flappy Bird, you're randomly generating pipes along the way. And so the idea I have in my head is, if you have your pipes, you only need one, obviously, because then you just copy it up to the top, and then you make them really long so that you can just move them up and down the screen as depending on which position you need them in. So we'll talk a little bit more about the plan of the game as we go to it. Let's get this down here. Boom, like that. Oh yeah, and I was saying about C# versus the blueprints. So I'm not hugely familiar with all the inner workings of Unreal Engine. It does seem pretty handy. The blueprints do seem pretty handy, but it's extremely handy to know at least the basics of how to code stuff. Because once you know the basics, it all starts adding up and you can just start thinking and you're like, how can I solve such and such a problem just by thinking about it? You know what I mean? Okay, let's draw some little bits of shine on here. Like this. And draw this down here. We should hopefully have a pipe we can use. Actually, just even thinking to make this as straightforward and simple as possible, because rather than focusing on making stuff like ground and stuff like that, let's just leave it at you've got the pipes and you got the bird. That's all you really need. That's the only essential things to the game. The ground doesn't really serve a purpose apart from like limiting you going downwards, which is, it don't really need to do that. We can just make the bottom of the screen limit our movement downwards. So rather than having having to draw some extra ground and having to handle that, we want to make this as simple and straightforward as possible. So yeah, we'll go with that way of doing it. Let's move these over a little bit. It's amazing how just drawing a couple of lines can make something look almost 3D. So we got that there, and then we go like this, and like this. Maybe I shouldn't have made our Flappy Bird dude green. Let's change the colour of him, because he looks a bit too much like the pipes. I could have changed the colour of the pipes, I suppose, but anyway. Okay, let's just do this, and then we'll go like this. Boop, boop, boop. Now we got a little blue friend. Blue friend. Okay, I'm going to save this, and this should be okay. Here we go. Here we go. Actually, no, I'll just keep this out in a separate folder for the moment. We'll just call this my art folder. Flappy Birds art. Okay, that's fine, and then I just need to save it as an actual image and not just a thing for this game. Is that going the right place? Yep. File format, PNG, save. Okay, so now we've got a basic bit of art going on. All up in here. Let's go in here. So let me see. Yeah. Okay, so we've got our Flappy Birds. There's our art folder. And it's in there. Perfect. Okay, so now we go back to Unity. Oh, I just realized that this file... Okay, I'm going to make a new project. Hold on. I just realized I set it up as 3D by default, which is not what we want. This is a 2D game. We want to make it 2D. So we'll just switch this over to 2D. I know it doesn't really make a huge difference. It's just handy to have all the defaults set up that way. And since we're just starting the project as well, it doesn't really matter too much. Are you making a Flappy Bird game? Yep, this is a Flappy Bird type of game. As Pavel said, Flapsy Birds is what we're calling it. If we can get it to type, maybe. Here we go. Okay, bam. Let that create there for a second. Sir Ken, hello! Welcome. How are you, sir? Will you be posting this video on YouTube once you're done? Yep, I should be. As long as the video quality looks okay, depending on how the stream is. But I think it should be okay. DJ Dudes! Hey, how are you? Flappy Bird game seems quite easy to make, but I imagine I get to the point of making it and not know what the hell to do. Well, we're about to find out if that's what happens with me too. So, we've got... Let's just open a little notepad here. So the basics of Flappy Bird. You flap, and you get points when you pass the pipes. And that's pretty much it. I mean, so you move forward. You're moving forward all the time, automatically, right? And the only input you have is one touch input, which jumps you upwards, right? That desktop, yeah, it's full of a few icons. Okay, so you got one touch input that jumps you upwards, and basically you die if you hit the pipes, right? The pipes. Or if you fall off the screen. So that's pretty much it. That's like the basic states. You've got a score and a high score. And yeah, that's pretty much the gist of it. We won't go through the whole process probably of... Well, maybe we'll make a start screen and stuff. I don't know. There's not a lot to that. But yeah, okay, so let's jump into it. Let's see what we can do. So we need to put all those bits of art into the game first. So let's get... where's my folder? Here we go. We're just going to drag that in there. I made that file huge and ridiculous just to be sure I could have space to put things in, and now I realize that was way too big. But that's okay. This is the kind of stuff I would not if I was doing a tutorial normally I would work this stuff out all beforehand, but I wanted to do this as fresh as possible, so you get the idea and the process behind hopefully the idea behind how to approach something like this. So we need to make this a multiple pixels per unit. How wide is that? Let's say 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 34, 50, 60. Let's say 64. Just as a guess. It won't matter too much because no, I don't want to use the sprite editor yet. We use this as a point. The size is 1024, and we'll go for true color. I wonder how the outcome is going to be. Let's find out together. So we've got this little dude that we want to use as a sprite, and we'll call him Mr. Flaps. And then we've got this thing which we want to use, which is our big pipe. Lock that there like that. There we go. Okay. So now we've got a pipe and we've got our bird dude. So let's put them into our game. So we'll drag Mr. Flappy Bird in here. And we'll drag Mr. Pipe in there too. Okay. Those are actually pretty small. So let's try and change some of the import settings here. So 64. Oh, stop. Change it down to 32. How will that look? Let's just move Mr. Flaps over here. That's still pretty small. So we'll try one more. We want it to look like pixel art, not just like super close up here. Or sorry, super small. There we go. That looks a bit better. That's a more reasonable size, I think. And our pipe is almost the full size of our screen, so we know that if the pipe moves up or down a lot, we have a lot of space to play with, which is good. And actually, I think maybe that's a little bit too big, so we'll change this to 2020. Try that. Obviously, you could just resize this stuff within Unity or whatever, but we'll try and stick to this kind of stuff here. Thanks for doing this. No worries, Kevin. Good to see you here. Mr. Flapsalot. Sir Flapsalot now. Sir Flapsalot of Ring Dinkleton. I don't know what that sentence meant. Anyway, okay. So, we have these pipes. I never gave the pipes a name. I should have given them a name. Pipes. We need to make them something that our Flappy Bird dude can run into. So we're going to need to make them have a box collider. What we're going to do is we're going to make these pipes are going to be solid, and we need a way for our Flappy Bird dude to be able to run into them. So we're going to make them have a slightly larger box around them, which will be a trigger. So, and then when the character enters the trigger, then it'll say, "Okay, you've hit a pipe, so you need to die." And the way we do that is, so this box that was just automatically created goes to be the exact size of the object. So we want that to be our trigger, and a slightly smaller one to be the hard box. So we add another box collider. We don't make it a trigger. And see, the size is 2.5 and 7.8. Let's make that 2.25, say. As you can see, we've got some new green lines here. And we'll make this about 7.5. So that way the character can like jump and bounce against it. Like that. Give you a patron support. Thank you very much, Ray. You are an awesome person full of awesomeness. Let's make family with Sir Pipe. Sir Pipe a lot. Okay. So now Mr. Flaps, we need to add a box to him. Where are you, Mr. Flaps? There you are. There you are, my friendo. So he's got a little box around him, so when he bangs against stuff, what you want to do is, when you make like a box for a character, you kind of want to make it a little bit smaller than the character, so that you get a feeling of being able to rescue something. Sometimes the character at the very last second, which makes the game a little bit more fun to play. So there's a handy little tip. So this isn't the full size of the whole thing around them. Actually, you know what? Instead of using a box collider, let's use a circle collider. So then we've got a little circle, and that'll basically just be the circle of his body then. And we can move. We don't have to worry about his beak hitting things. Move that just back a bit and make that a tiny bit smaller. There we go. Perfect. Okay, so we got our Flappy Bird dude. We need to give him a rigid body 2D so that he can be affected by gravity and things like that. And then our pipe friend here. So he's here. We need to pull him down, and we need to make an extra pipe to go with him. Upside down above him so that we have a little gap for our bird to fly through. So we're going to duplicate this. Just drag it down here, and then I'm going to pull it up a bit, and then grab the rotate and just rotate it around like that. And bam, there we go. Now we've got a little gap for our character to fly through. It does all feel a little big though, doesn't it? I feel like maybe the scale might be slightly off, I don't know. Yeah, I feel like our Flappy Bird dude is a little bit big. So let's just adjust this scale down a little bit again. To 24, say. The Flappy Bird looks derpy. He sure does. Oh god. Okay, so we got our pipes there way too far apart now. Pull you down a little bit like that. There. Okay, and we're going to make them under the same game object. So we'll call this the pipes. We've got lots of Z's in this game. It's because we're edgy and cool, you know. Make a Flappy Bird game with multiple playable levels, or multiple playable birds, levels, and bosses. Put it up for sale for $22. I think that might be Angry Birds. Okay, so we got one pipe. So now we need to make the game a bit more playable. So we got our Mr. Flaps here. We'll just pull him there. So we need to give him some script, so he's actually able to do something. Because at the moment, if we play the game, he will just go. Wee, like that. So in Angry Birds, he like dips forward, doesn't he? Like that. So I'm just trying to think how we can achieve the exact same thing. I think if we do something like, we set this maybe a little bit higher. No. Maybe if we make a tiny little child object on Mr. Flaps here, and we'll give this little object a rigid body as well. And if we move this forward, we'll add a circle collider to this too. If we add that forward, so that's the same weight, it probably shouldn't do anything. But if we make it a little bit, if we make the gravity scale on this slightly higher maybe. Probably looks a little big because it's in landscape when the original is portrait. But that's probably true as well actually. But we're not going to worry too much about that. What we're doing is learning the mechanics of it all. Okay, well, rather than waste my time fiddling around with this, that's just mostly a cosmetic thing. So we'll come back to that if we have time. But so for now, let's start adding some script to this dude. So create a C# script that we're going to call flapping. That'll do. And we're going to open this up. Oh, I'm opening that in Visual Studio. That might take a while to open. That wasn't what I meant to do. The pipes are calling, indeed. Oh, it's going slow, it's not reacting because I've got too many things going on. Would you ever do a video about making other bosses for games? Yep. Lots more stuff like that to come. Lots and lots of tutorials to come still. That's why you gotta keep watching, because you're all amazing people. As a game we made, it had a boss where it hand moved across the screen to crush you. Would ever do a video on how to do that? I was thinking of doing something like that as a boss video at some point. Is a plane? Is Flappy Bird flying like a plane? So we're just sitting here while we're waiting for this bar to actually do something. So while that's doing that, let's have a little bit more of a think. So what do we need our script to do for this guy? So it needs to be moving the bird forward, and we need to have an input that makes the bird bounce up in the air. And that's essentially it. We need a script that will generate the pipes. So pipe generator. We need a pipe generator script that will change the height randomly. and a points script that will give points when you pass a pipe. That's pretty much the basics of it. We need like a score tracker as well. Again, very simple and very straightforward. Okay, so we've got this open in Visual Studio. We'll just go with Visual Studio. I do prefer using Visual Studio to mono-develop. Mono-develop is quite a pain. The only problem is it's a little bit more resource intensive. So if the stream suddenly starts getting like slower, it's probably not super fast already, but if it starts getting too much worse, just let me know and I'll switch to using mono-develop. Okay, so we've got our Flappy Dude. So we need some default values that we'll use to control how much he moves and how much he jumps. So we need a public float of move speed. We'll need a public float jump height, and off the top of my head I think that's all we need for the moment. Okay, so for our movement towards or forwards along the way, let's have a look here. How does transform that translate work? I'm trying to remember it. So this is one of the handiest things about Unity, is that if you've got a problem or if you need something, if you're trying to remember how any of the code works or anything like that, it's got a very well documented and helpful system. So it makes it extremely fast to use things. So we've got transform.translate. Oh yeah, that's how that works. So we might use transform.translate, I think. So we've got in our update, we want to keep the character moving along at a steady pace. So we'll do transform.translate, and then in our brackets actually no, we'll just stick with the way I've done it in other tutorials rather than adding some new things that I'm not sure will work exactly the way I want it to. It should work, but I'm just not wanting to get into that now. We'll just go with using the rigid body like we've used in previous videos. So I'm just going to make a private rigid body 2D and call it my rigid body. Your videos helped me pass my first year of uni studying games programs, and thanks for that. Cool, glad to help when you're a crazy big games developer. Don't forget about me. I don't know. What would be the best approach for having a character to change sizes? Like if Mario got a power up and became big. You can literally just change it by like going transform.local scale equals new vector tree, and then in brackets saying like, so say you want them to be twice as big, transform dot local scale dot x multiplied by 2, or you could have it being set to a particular value if you wanted or anything like that. So it could be transform, instead of transform dot local scale dot x, you could just set it to be say 2f or something, because by default when you put something into the world, its local scale is just 1 1 1. So you could go, if you wanted it to be twice as big, you could just go 2 2 2, or well, to be honest, you could go 2 2. You can go 2 2 1 as well, because the z value, at least in 2D, isn't really used at all. But yeah, that's the basics of how you could like double the size of the character. Pretty straightforward. But anyway, we're making Flappy Bird, or Flapsy Birds. Okay, yeah, so we have a rigid body. We need, in our start function, we need to make sure that we know where our rigid body is. So my rigid body equals get component of rigid body 2D, and bam, like that. Ryan McDonald, how often do you do live streams? Hopefully I'll be doing them a lot more, Ryan, if I'm getting better internet. I have been streaming in the past on Twitch quite a bit, especially developing my game Portal Knots, but unfortunately for the last one my internet has been actually not the best. So I think this is about the third or fourth maybe stream I've done here on YouTube, but this is the first game development stream I've done here on YouTube. Okay, so in our update loop we're going to go my rigid body dot velocity equals new vector 2 even, because it's only a 2D rigid body. So our x value, which is what we want to be making the character move along like that, will be our move speed. So just move speed in there, and our y value will just be whatever it already is on the rigid body, because we don't want to affect that, because that's going to be controlling how much we can jump up and down. So my rigid body dot velocity dot y. Perfect. So then the next thing we need to do is detect when the player either touches their mobile phone screen or clicks with the mouse. So if input dot get mouse, so what get mouse button does, obviously that detects when you click the mouse, but it also detects when you touch the screen. It does the exact same thing. So we want to get when the mouse button is down, so when it's first clicked. So input dot get mouse button down. We say or input dot get key down. Key code dot space. So this will also work if you use the space bar to jump up and down. We've got something broken here. What's wrong? What is wrong here? If I take this out, so we've got input that got measurement down, or input dot get key down, not hash, key code dot space. Why am I getting an error there? That I don't feel like that should have been given an error. That seems weird. We'll just get rid of the spacebar for now. I won't completely delete it. I'll just kind of comment it out. I'm not sure why that's causing the problem, to be honest with you. Oh no, I do. Because you can't just get a mouse button. You have to get a mouse button, a particular mouse button that works. So that it would be, I think it's 0 is for the left click. There we go. Now that makes a bit more sense. That works. You forgot to get the mouse button down 0. Yeah, there we go. Thanks, Ryan. I have to run. Cool, thanks for stopping by, Ken. You get used to it though. For me, I'm not very good at it. I spent about an hour last night trying to make my character triple jump, and I still didn't figure it out. Yeah, it's a process of trying to work things out. The more you try, the better you get at it. I'll be honest with you. Because I learned a lot just by forcibly working on my own game. and it teaches you a lot just by doing it. Honestly, just like keep going at it, and you'll hopefully get to learn how to do it better. You know what I mean? So we're pressing the button. We need to make our guy jump up. So literally all we're going to do for that is my rigid body dot velocity, the exact same again, is equal to new vector 2. But this time, instead of putting move speed here, we're just going to stick with the default, or not the default, whatever value the velocity currently has. So the velocity of x is the same, and then we just want to add in jump height. Or actually, we should call this jump force, because it's not about the height of it, it's about the force of it. My character would either keep jump. Oh, sorry, I hit the microphone there. My character would either keep jumping or only jump twice. Yeah, triple jumping is an odd one. I suppose maybe I haven't actually tried adding a triple jump. I've done double jump lots, but I suppose what I would do is you could have the way I normally would handle double jumping, for example, is to use two Boolean values, one for when you're on the ground and one for whether you've double jumped or not. So if you're on the ground, it ignores the double jump and it lets you jump in the air. That's fine. And then when you're in the air, you're not on the ground, but your double jump hasn't been pressed yet, so double jump is still true, or say call it double jump available. So your double jump is still true. So you would say, okay, so if not on the ground and if double jump is true, let me jump again. So then I'd add a third variable called triple jump available that would check if not on the ground and if double jump is not available, but triple jump is available. So if the first two are false and the third one is true, then you're allowed to jump one more time, and then that would once that happens, it sets triple jump to be false as well. That's how I would think about approaching it. I don't know if that helps. Yeah. Or as Apero Wolf says there, that's another way to do it also. How many jumps you need to take, a maximum of jumps, reset to 1 and hit the ground, a tree, prevent more jumps. Yep, that's a perfectly good way to do it as well. Okay, so we've got this basic thing going on here. This should hopefully work. Let's find out. This is the fun of developing games, is I made some code. Does it work? Who knows? Trying to know, at least that's how I would do it. Yeah, that's the thing. Like I said, there's lots of different ways to do these things. That's one of the fun things about developing in general, is that there's no right way to do anything. There's ways to do stuff, but there's no right way, because every different way of doing something has different advantages and different disadvantages. So I'm not going to give him any move speed for the moment, because we just want him to stay still. And his jump force, let's set that at say 10. So if we get going here now. Whoop. Okay. His jump is way too big. We can see that. So let's put this down to 5, say. Okay, so just looking at this now, I can keep tapping space and it'll keep moving up ever so slightly. But when you place Flappy Bird, you know that like if you tap the screen a couple of times, he'll shoot up really fast. So that's not what's going on here. So let's make that happen. So I think the way to do that is, rather than setting the jump force, or when you press the button, rather than setting the velocity to be equal to jump force, what we're going to do is add the jump force to what's already there. So we'll do my just add a space here. My rigid body dot velocity dot y plus jump force. Are you part of a game company, Games or James? No, I'm part of myself. I'm a solo man, which is why I need the awesome support of all you awesome people out there. And obviously, a special thanks to everyone who's like supports the channel on Patreon. That's so super duper helpful. It's like helps me make better videos and helps me make more videos and be able to focus more on providing more tutorials for everybody. So the more support we get going on there, the better everything can be. Okay, so we've got this jump force that's being added on now rather than just being set. So we should hopefully get the effect that the same thing has in Flappy Birds. Oh, we didn't save that. Of if you press it a couple of times, you go up really fast, which makes it even harder and makes it more annoying to play. Oh god, Flappy Birds is not a game that I enjoy. See, there we go. Look, I pressed it twice and suddenly I was jumping way high. But again, that force is still too much. Okay, that's probably too little force. So jump force 7.5. I probably want to limit how fast he can fall as well, because you can see he's picking up a little bit too much speed there. So I think we're going to limit it so that the fastest he can be falling is the same amount as our jump force, so that the very least you can do is like level him out, and then you can get him higher again. So the way we'll do that is to say if my rigid body dot velocity dot y is less than or equal to minus jump force. What's going on here? I was getting a weird error there for a moment. So if the y velocity, if you're going down too fast, so our jump force say is 7.5, and then if he suddenly starts falling faster than that, we're going to say, okay, no, we don't want him to fall any faster than that. So we'll say, so if that's true, we're just going to say then, okay, my rigid body dot velocity is equal to new vector 2 of my rigid body dot velocity dot x and my rigid body dot not dot velocity. We just want to set this to minus jump force, so that he will only fall at that speed at the maximum. So that's perfectly fine. And we actually, since this is purely like a physics-based calculation and we're not taking any input or anything like that for this, we might actually go ahead and put this, rather than in update, we're going to use fixed update, which is where it's another built-in default routine within Unity, and it's where you normally handle any kind of just purely physics-based stuff. So we're just going to take this, we're just going to cut it out and paste it in there. And the reason you'd use fixed update is because that's something that happens on a set amount of time, whereas update can randomly happen depending on how powerful the computer is. If there's like a frame rate hitch and it kind of freezes up for a second, then it'll do that just fine. But you'll be frozen in time, and then if there's any physics stuff going on, that can keep falling while the visual update isn't happening. The character could keep falling and start speeding up loads. Well, if there's a big, like a second delay in your update function, But if you use it in fix update, that just happens on a set amount of time no matter what. So if you're limiting the speed, and if there's a big frame rate hitch and the game kind of freezes up for a second, rather than everything else freezing in place and just him suddenly falling super fast, he'll still fall at the normal speed that you would expect him to. And we'll actually put the forward movement speed in there as well. It's okay if you're only using like one little thing in your fixed update, or even just a couple of minor little things, but it's just a handy little technique to get into, I suppose you would say. Do you focus most on creating games or teaching others how to? At the moment, more teaching maybe. I don't know. It's about trying to find that balance, and I'd like to do more teaching. I'd like to be able to spend my time doing more of these tutorials. At the moment I just don't have that opportunity to. But that's okay. He's making a game Portonauts. I think he's still working on it. Yes, I am indeed. There'll be more Portonauts news soon. Has people tried to make the game like the bird is yellow? They just do random? I'm not sure what you mean, Dahiani. Do you mean like making the bird's color random? I'm not sure. Okay, let's try this again. Okay. It doesn't feel quite right, so it's about tweaking it then. I actually might make this its own value, so say public float max fall speed. So rather than using the jump force, we'll just say, so if the velocity is minus max fall speed, or is greater than, or is, if he's falling faster than max fall speed, then we don't want him to be able to do that, so we'll set max fall speed as the maximum fall speed. Make StarCraft 2 in Unity. Oh yeah, sure, no bother, I'll just go ahead and do it. That'd only take about half an hour, sure, wouldn't it? Okay, so we set a max fall speed there. I'm actually just going to close this and open it again, because we're getting this annoying error. So I change all the Windows line endings. There we go. Save that. Now we should be getting rid of this annoying error down here, which is just annoying me. That made me think of a question. Will you ever do a RTS series? I could potentially. I wouldn't rule out doing any kind of series. I don't know a lot about real-time strategy development and stuff like that. I haven't played a real-time strategy game really since like Command and Conquer Red Alert maybe on the PlayStation. So it's not a genre I'm super familiar with. But it's certainly something I'd be open to doing. There we go. That feels a bit better now. So he's got a fall speed, and you're able to kind of bounce him along like that. There we go. Okay. So that's fine. So let's give him some forward momentum then. Come on, Mr. Flaps. Let's get you through this pipe. Let's say 10. See how this goes. Woo! He's just spinning around like mad. Okay, I don't think that I meant for that to happen. Hold on. Let's make him move forward a little bit slower. I'm just going to make the camera a child. No, I don't want to make the camera a child of him. We need to make a camera follow script. So we'll do that next, actually, just so we have that in place. Whoa! He's all kind of doing crazy loop-loops. We'll worry about that later. So fix update reserved for physics stuff and update for everything else, right? Yeah. So we do not force all the stuff to happen at the same time. Correct me if I'm wrong, because that's how I understand it. Yeah, kind of. Yeah, pretty much. It's like fixed update happens on a set interval. You can actually change the interval as well. If you go to edit, project settings, and I think time. Yeah, here we go. So see fixed time step here? It's set to 0.02. So every 0.02 of a second it'll run the fixed, whatever's in fixed update basically. Kind of one of the general rules is if you're going to handle physics stuff like that, you want to do it in fixed update, and if you want to handle any input or anything, you want to do that just in the normal update. Okay, so yeah, we've got the basics of it. It's working roughly fine. He's spinning around like a crazy guy, but that's okay. So we're just going to create a very simple camera follow script. So camera follow. Just need to reload that like that. Okay. So in here we just need a public game object object to follow, which it'll be our Mr. Flap. And we need a private vector tree of previous position, and then in our start function we're just saying, okay, this first position of the camera is equal, or the last position the camera's in is a very start position, so previous position is equal to transform dot position, which is perfectly fine. And then in our update here, what we're going to say is, okay, so where was the camera last time? How much does that change from where we are now? No, we're not basing it off the camera, sorry, we're basing it off the position of the object that we're following. That's what we're doing here. So this should be object to follow dot transform dot position. And then here we're saying, okay, so we'll have a new vector 2 here as well, or vector 3 even. Private vector tree that we're going to call amount to move. So then we're going to say in our update here, we're just going to say amount to move is equal to we'll see which way this works. Object to follow dot transform dot position minus previous position. So we're taking away where the player currently is, we're minusing where he was before, and then whatever difference we're left with in the middle, we're going to add that to where the camera currently is. So we've got amount to move, which is all that stuff. So then we know that our current transform dot position of the camera plus equals amount to move. So we're just adding on that little amount that we had there. So hopefully I've got the position of whether this should be before or after these guys, because or else our camera's going to start moving backwards as our player moves forward, which isn't what we want to happen, but we'll see. Flappy Bird became supersonic. Thanks for this. Just want to let you know I'm recommending my students your videos. Cool, that's awesome. What are your students, Ian? What do you teach? What am I doing? I forgot what I was doing. Yeah, we're adding the camera script. There we go. Immediately forgot what I was doing. Okay, and we wanted to follow Mr. Flaps. Okay, so let's see if this works. Oh, I just realized we don't want it to follow Mr. Flaps completely. See, because it's going down. We only want to follow the X position. So, doing things wrong here. So what we need to say is these shouldn't be vector trees. These should be only floats. So previous position is transform.position.x. Amount to move is the current transform.position.x minus our previous position. And then transform.position plus equals a new vector tree of the x value of our amount to move, which is what we want, and we don't want to change the Y position or the Z position. So there we go. That's what we want to do. We don't want the camera to follow down. We want the Flappy Bird to be able to move up and down on the screen, and the camera just to keep going sideways like that. So that's fine. Save this. Pop back in here. I'm recommending you to my class. Cool, Alex. That's awesome. Why make a script for the camera to follow the player when you could just make the camera a child of the player? Yep, that's exactly what I was doing wrong. It shouldn't just literally be following the player. It should be following the X position only of the player. That's what I meant to do. And also, it's not really a problem for this game in particular. Okay, the camera's going... Oh, I know what I'm not doing. Yeah. Yep. Doing things wrong. So the camera, I just realized the camera is moving really fast ahead of the character. And why is it doing that? Is because at the first moment of time, it's going, okay, previous position says 0. Character has moved to 1 rather than 1. Next frame, character has moved to 2. Previous position is still 0 because we haven't updated that. So it's adding on 2 to the camera's position, so it's going jumping ahead when it should be only adding on another 1 of movement. So we need to, at the end of our update loop here, we need to say previous position is equal to transform dot position dot x. There we go. That's a bit more sensible. But yeah, as I was saying, so yeah, that's why you would make a camera follow script to follow the player. And something else that is not really a problem with this game or anything, but if you're making, say, a 2D platformer, so if you're running, your character's running along, you can have the camera following them perfectly fine by making it a child, and that's grand. But then, if you're going to make your player run back the other way, the normal way of doing that would just be to so that you don't have to make double the animations. What you would do is literally just flip the player around and make him run back the opposite way. But if you flip the player around and the camera is also a child of the player, the camera will flip around too. So you'll end up with the screen suddenly going, unless the player is in the exact middle of the screen, you'll end up with suddenly the background and everything suddenly kind of jarringly jumping around. So instead, what you want to do is make the camera just kind of follow along with the player. So then when he flips over, if the camera is just following the position of the player, when he flips over like that, the camera just is like, okay, yeah, you flipped around, but I don't care, you're still standing in the exact same space. So that's why you want to use a follow script. So yeah. So I keep getting this little error down here because Flappy Bird. Okay, so we've got the camera is following along nicely. Our guy can jump off the screen like a madman. Whee! Okay, so that's working fine. As we can see, we're ending up with a bit of problem here of him getting caught on this stuff. So we need to add a little bit of material to make these things slippy. We'll just make our player slippy. So we're just going to go here, create a physics 2D material with 0 friction. We should actually give this a name too. We'll just call this slippy material, like that. And where's our Mr. Flaps? So on him, we're just going to add that there. So now if we play again, we should see when he jumps up, he just kind of slides along the side of it. So that's perfectly fine. Okay, so next thing we want to do is randomly generate our pipes. So I'm just randomly clicking on things here apparently. Okay, so we'll delete that. How I would actually handle this when you're making a full game, I'd use like object pooling, like I've done in my Endless Runner platform series. But I'm not going to go into creating that. If you want to know about creating object pooling, go have a look at my Endless Runner platform series. It'll be the exact same thing that we'd use for this. But for now, I'm just going to randomly generate these pipes. I'm not going to be too worried about saving on memory and stuff like that, because that's not really something we're going to deal with here. So we're going to go create a C# script, and we're going to say generate pipes. So what we'll need for this, guys, is we'll need the maximum height it can be at, the minimum height it can be at, and we'll also need the distance between each pipe. Reload all these. Okay, so we got to generate pipes here. Okay, so like I said, we'll need a public float max height, a public float min height, and we need a public float of distance between. And of course, most importantly, we will need a public game object of the pipes themselves. So perfect. Adding camera script is always a good idea. You can do amazing effects with camera to improve gameplay, even to otherwise dull gameplay. Yep, exactly. Having a camera script, you can have it do different things, like follow. You don't have to have it following directly on the player. You might want to have your player be able to have a little bit of movement within the screen before the camera follows them and stuff like that. It's a very common thing, especially in 2D platformers, to be able to do that. Okay, so we got our pipes, we got our min height, distance between. Perfect. And we'll actually use another thing, much like I did in my Endless Runner series. We're going to have a transform point in space that is like the transform point. Sorry, I just got thinking there for a second. Transform point that is a child of the camera that will be like the point ahead of the player where pipes are being generated. So we'll say public transform generator point, or generator threshold actually, and private no, we won't even need a private. We won't need something to determine where we're generating from. We'll just use whatever object this pipe generator is attached to. So, in our start function, that's all fine. Yep, that's all good. Just basically, in update, what we're going to say is if transform dot position of where we are now dot x actually is less than the generator threshold. So the point in space where our characters, where our pipes are being generated from. So if as we're going along, if our generator is behind, is like visible on screen, for example, we wanted to be able to generate pipes ahead of where we can see stuff. So transport.position at x is less than generator threshold dot position dot x. So if that's true, then we need to generate a new platform or a new pipes object. So the way we do that is just say instantiate, and then in brackets we'll say the object to instantiate is the pipes, and the position we wanted to instantiate is going to be a new vector tree with where we want it to go is transform.position.x. So we want it to be where we're starting off and generating, and then The Y position is what we want to randomly decide. So that's how high or how low we want it to be. So the way we'll say that is just by saying random dot range between min height and max height. And then finally the Y position, or the Z position even, will just be at transform.position dot Z. Perfect. Oh no, we haven't got, we also have to give it a rotation value. So that would be just transform.rotation. Okay, that was what we were missing there. And then once a new pipe is created, we want to move our transform position forward. So we'll say transform dot position equals new vector tree, and we'll take current transform dot position dot x, and we'll add on our distance between, and then we'll say transform dot position dot y and transform dot position dot z. Perfect. Okay, so this should generate our pipes for us. So let's set all this up and hopefully it'll work as we go. I am answering questions. I'm just kind of, when I'm in the middle of coding, I get kind of absorbed into it. So let me just check back here for a second. Adding camera skips is always a good idea. So gamma animating. No Twitch today. No, this is YouTube live. I've been watching you for 2 years. Thanks, awesome gamer. Good to have you here. What are you playing? I'm playing Unity. Yes. Kappa is on here. Is it? Supercrack, hello. Shobet Astana, hello. Upap Oreo, do you only work with Unity or do you also use other engines? I mainly only really work with Unity. I've used other things in the past, but I like Unity. I think Unity is good. It's very straightforward. It's good because it's free for everybody to use. Especially now, it's even more feature filled as a free thing. He is answering questions. He loves my questions. I'm just a little bit behind, like I said. I don't need to save. Oh, actually, we should save this scene. We'll just call this main. See, normally I would break all this stuff out into different folders, but we're not building up a huge amount of assets at the moment. Okay, so we added our generator stuff to the game, so we need to create. This will be our pipe generator. Okay, so we got our pipes, and we need to make them actually a prefab object. So we're just going to drag them into our assets folder like that. So that's our pipes there. We got our pipe generator. I just want to quickly make this a child just so I can center it like that. Perfectly fine, and then make it not a child again. Okay, so where is it in the world here? Okay, I want to change the position of these guys because that's kind of very confusing. So our X position of him is 0 and our X position of him is 0. Perfect. We'll apply those changes. Let's make sure that's applied to these guys here. Yep. All good. Okay, so our first pipe, we'll move him back over here like this. Actually, we'll just position him at 0. Okay, that's perfectly fine. So then our pipe generator can just be at 0. And Y, that doesn't really matter too much. Okay, so our pipe generator is there. We need to add our script that we just created. So that's our generate pipes. There we go. So our maximum height. So we need to work out what our maximum height of our pipes can be. So really, the maximum we'd want to have is probably around here. So what's the Y value there? Is 4.47. So we're going to copy that, and pop that in there like that. And then the minimum height, nope, that's the wrong thing. The minimum height would be around about here. So that's minus 0.86. So we pop that there. Then, so we'll just pull the pipes back up to here. And basically what we want to do now is just duplicate this and then drag it over and see what kind of distance between feels about right. I think maybe here, or maybe here. I think 7. I think so. 7 is a good amount of distance between pipes. So our pipe generator, we'll say our distance between is 7. So obviously our pipe generator is starting at the exact same point as this pipe. So we don't want them to generate another one over this. So what we'll do is just make a slight change to the script and say in our start function, the first thing we'll do is just make sure that our transform position moves on our distance between value. And since we're already doing that here, we're just going to copy that exact bit of code like that and just paste it into our start function, and it'll work just the way we want it to. Okay, so now we need a point for our pipes to know, okay, we can stop generating because we've reached ahead of the player far enough. So what we'll do is create a child of the main camera. Create empty, and we'll call this the generation point, if I could spell it. Sorry, I'm missing some stuff going on here. Do you need T? Yes, of course I need T, Pamela. What are you talking about? I'm quite late. What has been done with this game so far? How are you guys? Reach the generating pipes part. Yeah, we've got a little basic jumping on and a basic camera following the player. And there's not too much more to do this game, really. You can watch the beginning. Oh, you can just jump back and watch the beginning, can you? Yeah, there you go. I don't know a lot about live streams, so there you go. Beginning. Oh yeah, you thought you'd spelled beginning wrong. No, you're okay. Never give up, I have faith in you. Okay, so we've got a generation point. We need to move that ahead of the camera. We're going to move it a little ways ahead so it has enough space to definitely create pipes ahead of the player as you're going. Yeah, okay, so we've got a generation point. We need to hook that up. So we pop that in there like that. And then we'll hit play. And we should hopefully... Nope. Oh, well, I haven't told it what things we want to generate. So that's kind of not going to work very well. So let's pop that in there. And this time it'll work. There we go. Look, we can see we're getting pipes generated ahead of us. So he's falling very slow, so we might need to like increase the gravity to make him fall a bit faster. So okay, we've got pipes generating behind us. We want to make sure we destroy those pipes, so we're going to create a script for that now in a second. But we've got something going on here. Flappy Bird is such a simple game, but it's still got too many views and downloads. Yeah. How many videos do you have left for the Endless Runner series? I'm not sure, Ryan. There's a few things I want to cover still. We kind of have to see as it goes. Okay, so we've got them creating. We need... we're going to create a destruction point here. Destruction point. Bam. I don't know why there's a tree in here. That doesn't make any sense. And we'll move that destruction point way off the camera here. And then we need to create a simple script that we're going to add on to all the pipes. So create a C# script. Destroy. We'll just call this destroy objects. and then open this up. Oh yeah, so I started saying there actually a while ago, we keep getting an error down here as we're creating scripts about... Oh no, don't start another copy of Visual Studio, that's not helpful. The story objects, I spelt that wrong. Well, that was smart. Oh well, we'll just go with it anyway. Yeah, so we're getting a kind of weird thing about Unix and Mac line endings on the bottom of this. That's because I haven't changed the file that's built into Unity. So we're going to continue to get that error, but that's okay. So public, yeah, we need a transform position of the destruction point. So we're going to call this destruction point. And then in our update, all we're going to say is if transform dot position dot x is less than destruction point dot x, not destruction point dot position dot x even. So if that's true, then we're just going to destroy not destroy objects, just destroy ourselves. So destroy, not this story, God, I keep spelling this wrong. Destroy game object. So what I'll do is I'll just destroy whatever game object is attached to the script we're currently on. No, get out of here, you. So we'll save that. Go back in here. And thank you for tea. Free magical tea. Thanks, Pamela. Let me just have a look here. No, I'm all good. Thank you. Are you going to post this project as zip when you're done? I might be. We'll see, Gambit. The more simple the gameplay is, the more appeal it will have to all ages and all kind of people, hardcore gamers, different reward system. That's it. Yeah. Pretty sure the Flappy Bird was hard. It was hard, but it was simple at the same time. Make Pac-Man in Unity. Yeah, that might be something. Provide challenge coding wise and playing wise. Very straightforward. Yeah, it is. That's the thing. Like I said, it's simple but incredibly hard. And I never really got why it was so popular, because I just didn't like it at all. But anyway, how did you change your team to black? It's because I'm using Visual Studio instead of MonoDevelop, which is built into Unity 5.2, which is really, really good. And I would recommend, when you're installing Unity 5.2, which is the latest version of Unity, you'll get an option to add Visual Studio tools to it, and select yes and use Visual Studio, because it's a million times better than the MonoDevelop that's built into Unity. I've been using Visual Studio for a long time for my own stuff. I don't use it in videos normally because most people use MonoDevelop by default. But now the Visual Studio is included with Unity 5.2, I might start using that in videos because it works so much better than MonoDevelop. Yeah, as Gambit said, that's how Visual Studio is. And listen to this and your 2D platformer tutorials. James everywhere. Oh god. Starblaze, hello. My phone was a little laggy, so it didn't go as fast. Alright. So it's much easier, yeah. Is there any more Twitch streams? There probably will be. Hopefully I'm getting better internet in the next week or so I might do some more Twitch streams in the next while. 5.1.2, are you saying there's 5.2 now? Yes, there is indeed. If you go to the Unity website, let's see, about Unity here. See, version 5.2.OF3. Go to the Unity website and download the latest version. I would recommend. Okay, so yes, we're destroying objects behind the character, so we need to add the destruction script to our pipes, which we did just there. Yes, there we go. And destruction point. Oh yeah, because these have been generated, we need to search for the destruction point when they're created. So Destruction point equals find objects is it just find? No. Transform dot game object dot find. Nope. Good thing about Unity are constant updates. I started my game at 5.0 a few months ago. I think I updated Unity 4 times so far. Yeah, it is. It's good. It's good. What's better about it? Visual Studio, it just runs better. It like auto generates the code for you way better. Like when you start typing something, it does a way better job of selecting what you want to pick. Whereas MonoDevelop half the time it just tries to throw up suggestions of random things that have nothing to do with whatever you're coding. It remembers when you create like this destruction point here. A lot of times MonoDevelop will, like, if you start typing in destruction point, MonoDevelop won't know to fill the rest of that in. Whereas Visual Studio, most of the time, it will. So destruction point is equal to find. Why can't I find? I'm doing something wrong here. Maybe it's game object. Dot find get. I'm doing something wrong here. Let me just check. What did I do? What did I do in the Endless Runner series? Endless Runner. Active. Game object.find. Yeah, I knew I did that. Oh, it's because I used a small g. That's why. Game object.find. Yeah, that was just me. That was my own fault. So game object.find an object called destruction point. So we're finding the game object with the destruction point, and we're using the transform of that to be our destruction point. I just want to make sure I spelled that properly. Destruction point there is the same as there. Perfect. Okay. So now when our code is generated, we should get it automatically being destroyed behind us. So let's just play it, and we'll watch the screen here and see what happens. I came late. Did you make a looper for the pipes already? Yeah, I created a system that automatically generates it, but the other people are saying you can just go back through Livestream video, so you can jump back a little bit and check it out for yourself. And the whole video will be live afterwards as well. If this would play, it would be handy too. We've got a little while wary of decoration now. We've pretty much got most of the basics down, I think. Just going to let our guy go along here. Sure, our pipes are being destroyed behind us. Yep, that's perfectly fine. Okay, so that's good. Like I said, he falls too slow, so I'm going to increase the gravity. Okay, our jump force isn't enough to counteract that gravity now. Let's try this. Whoop, that was too much. Yeah, we can jump along. Whoa, we jumped too fast. Okay. I think that gravity scale is a bit much. We'll pull this back down to 10. Try this one more time. So this is one of the things again of when you're developing stuff like this, you need to just kind of fiddle around and see what works. Wee, jumping along. So our Flappy Bird dude is getting through all these things. So he's getting through all this stuff way too easy. We haven't made it hard enough, but that's okay. We're getting the basics down. Determining the difficulty and stuff like that would literally simply be just tweaking these numbers until you find something that works well and makes it a bit harder. At school I was looking at games made with Unity and found this is quite amazing. If you want to check it out, it's Tilt Brush. Just look it up if you like. Tilt Brush, I haven't heard of that. Okay, so we've got the basics in place now. We've got our pipes being created and we've got our player. So we need to be able to kill the player. Basically, we need to be able to reset the game. So we're going to create a new C# script and we're going to call this our game manager. Like this. Why are you starting up Visual Studio? Don't do that. Okay, just reload this. So game manager, here we go. Okay, so game manager, what do we need in here? Do we need any? I'm not sure what files we need at the moment. We need to know where the player starts at and where the transform position of the pipe generator is. Okay, so we need public game object. No, actually, hold on. Public flapping, because we know that's only going to be on the player object. Public flapping. We'll call this Mr. Flaps. And then our generate pipes, so we need our public generate pipes. We'll just call this the generator. If I could spell generator. I'm gonna go make my own game. This will give me inspiration. Cool, that's awesome to hear. Have fun. Might be back later. Cool. Good luck indeed. Barney, I eat. Where's my money? Public flapping. Yeah, that's probably a little bit inappropriate, isn't it? Anyway, okay, so in our update, no, we don't need to use that. We need something here that is called to reset the game, basically. So void reset is what we're going to call this, or reset game. Or public void even. Public void reset game. And basically in here is when we're going to restart everything. So when this is called, we're just going to set the player's position back to the start and set the generator position back to the start. So we need some values for where they start off. So private vector tree. Call this Mr. Flaps start, and private vector tree generator start. And then in the start function, we just want to get them straight away. So Mr. Flaps start is equal to Mr. Flaps dot transform dot position, and generator start is equal to generator dot transform dot position. Perfect. Don't be rude. Hi, I'm new. Hi, we don't care. Yeah, no, don't be rude. It's okay. Welcome to the stream, Harris. Do not bully the transfer student. Okay, so we've got those things there. So basically, when we reset the game, we want to reset them back to those positions. So Mr. Flaps dot transform dot position is equal to Mr. Flap start, and then what are we saying? Yeah, generator transform that position. There we go. My brain just had a little bit of a fart there for a second. Generator transform dot position is equal to generator start. So we're setting those guys back to their very first value. That's perfectly what we want to do. We want to destroy all the pipes ahead of us as well, all the pipes that have been created, because we don't need them any longer. And we will do that is just say a new game object array called just game object array called the pipes, so that's the pipes ahead of us, is equal to find objects of type, and it will find all the objects that have the destroy objects attached to it, which should be destroy objects, but I can't spell. And that should be convert them to game objects to make sure that that's fine. And that's what are we doing here? Do we need to put as game object at the end here? Nope. We'll just make these objects. So object the pipes, and then we'll just do a simple little for loop for int I equals 0 to start off, while I is less than the pipes dot length. Length. I plus plus, bam, and then in here we simply say, okay, the pipes I dot can we just say destroy the pipes I. Yeah, there we go. So that'll just destroy whatever object is in, and it should destroy all the ones ahead of us. That's perfect. Okay, so that should work. So our player gets reset to the start, our generator position gets reset to the start. I think that's all we need for the time being. Let's find out. Let's find out. Okay, so our game manager, we need to give him a new object to be attached to. Create empty game manager, and then we'll add that script. Bam. So we got Mr. Flaps, which is there, and we got our generator, which is there. Okay. Now that I think about it, we've no way of making the game reset yet, so I need to do that. We've got a few things going on here. Wrong anime. Ever going to make 3D games? Yep, I will be, but they're a lot more complicated. New question that I seriously can't find an answer to. What is void and var? Okay, so var stands for variable, yeah, as Code Lyoko said. I'm trying to see if there's anyone. What do you use var and void for? When you create a function call that does not return a value, specifically void first, otherwise specify the value which to be returned, string it. Yeah, I'll explain that now in a second. variable is basically something you give a value or you store something in it. Yeah. So var is I'm not sure if var is used with C#. I don't use it at all, but I think maybe it's just for using JavaScript or Unity script, as it's called. But var is just variables, and when you use var, it just creates like a generic variable that will be filled with whatever object you put into it. But void is, as AproWolf was saying, it basically means that your function doesn't return anything. So say here we've got public void reset game. All this does stuff, but it doesn't send anything back. So say when our player runs into a pipe, we're going to say, okay, our player has hit a pipe, so from the game manager, call the reset game function, and it'll run this little bit, and that'll just go and reset the game. But say, for example, you had, in terms of like, say, a basic math thing, right? You had, say, when your player runs into a pipe, you need to know what is 2 plus 2 equal to. So on your game manager, you would have a function here called public. Instead of void, you would have public int, I think. Public int, call it 2 plus 2. And what you would do is you'd run this little script that would say 2 plus 2 equals, you'd have a variable, say, the answer. We'd have it called. So 2 plus 2 equals the answer. Or no, the answer equals 2 plus 2. So we know that would be 4. And then at the bottom you would say return answer. And that would send back to your function that originally called what you were looking for, the 4. Because what you wanted to get was a value. So that's why you wouldn't use void. You'd use an actual value that you wanted to come out of it. Hopefully that made a bit of sense. I don't know if it did, but that's the basics of it. I don't know. Is there a place where you can read up on simple code and stuff like var and void? Yeah, there is definitely. Like, there's a lot of resources out there, like, on that kind of stuff. I am going to do like a C# Unity tutorial in the next while. But that needs to be well structured and keeping the basics of it, you know. But yeah, so what was I doing? What was the next thing on my list? Oh yes, we need to reset the game. So when we need to crash into a pipes. So we got our flapping, and we'll just create a new script first. So we'll call this player hit pipe. Does a void have to be private? Nope. Because like we got here. Just reload this. If we go back to the game manager, oh no, where are we? Here we are. So in our game manager, we've got public void reset game. The only difference between public and private in terms of functions like that is if you can call them from the outside. So from another script, I can call this. I can say like game manager dot reset game, and it would call this one. Whereas if you have a private one, you wouldn't. If this was private, I wouldn't be able to access this reset game from somewhere else. I'd only be able to do it from within the script itself. Okay, so our player hit pipe. We're not going to use start or update. We're just going to say void on trigger enter 2D, and in here we'll just say collider 2D other, which is just the basic default void on trigger enter 2D stuff. So I can't remember off the top of my head, when you write void just like this, void start, void update, void on trigger enter 2D, I think by default they're private, but I could be wrong. It's If you look it up, you'll find out. But it's either one or the other. By default, they're either private or public. But it's one or the other. I don't know. I have a question relating to making StarCraft 2 in Unity. I see it all the time in the world and money put on yourself. Would you be able to make StarCraft 2 by yourself? I don't know. There's a lot of work goes into a game like that, and a team of like hundreds of people. When you think about it this way, StarCraft 2, a game like that, took, I'm not hugely up on it or anything, but that took at least like, I think it took like 3 years at the very least. I know it was a long time between like StarCraft 1 and 2 or whatever, but it wasn't in active development that whole time, I don't think. But anyway, say it took like 3 years and it was a team of 100 people. That's... Obviously, they wouldn't be working flat out or whatever, but they'd be working like a full work week. That's 300 years of work gone into that game. That would be pretty hard for you to do by yourself. Default is private. Yeah, I wasn't sure. I thought it was private, but then I wasn't sure. So these are basically these say private void on Trigger Enter 2D. They just save you having to write it out. Okay, yeah, so we're detecting when the player hits a thing. So on here we just say if other dot game object dot name equals, what's the name of our guy? Just need to get the spelling properly. Mr. Space Flaps. So if the thing that hits against the pipe is Mr. Flaps, then we need to run a reset. And to be able to run a reset, we need to have a reference to the game manager. So we will just say, we could make a static function on the game manager, but we won't do that because that's getting things a bit too complicated. So public, it doesn't need to be public, but we'll leave it public. Public game manager, the game manager, the game, time to play the game. The game manager is equal to find object of type game manager. Boop. There we go. Okay, so then if our other object is Mr. Flaps hits the pipe, then we'll just say the game manager dot reset game. Bam, just like that. Oh no, we need to put some open and close brackets because it's a function, so it needs to have them afterwards. Sometimes you will need to be able to put in values into the middle of it, but that's okay. What is happening? I missed. What is happening? We're making Flappy Birds. Basic little Flappy Birds game kind of copy. So we save that and we hit play. I didn't add that script to a pipe, so this isn't going to do anything for us at all. So on our pipes, on our default pipes, we're just going to add that script, which we called player hit something. Player hit pipe, there we go. We don't need to worry about finding the game manager there. So now when we run the game, hopefully, if we hit a pipe, we should... Nope. We're not getting reset. Why aren't we getting reset? What have I done wrong? Why is he kind of scraping along the top like that? Well, Mr. Flaps, come here for a minute. What are you doing? What's going on with these pipes? Oh, they've got a huge... Oh, because I changed the size of them, didn't I? And I didn't change the boxes around them. Okay, let's make a quick little change to their box colliders. So, actually just going to remove all the components. So we'll just go box collider 2D and add another box collider 2D. Make this one a trigger. Make this one smaller. Smaller than that. 1.8. Yeah, 1.8. And then 6.2, say. Nah, 6.1. There we go. Okay. And then I'm going to need, on the other pipe guy, remove both of these as well. Copy this. Paste it here. And then copy this. And paste him there. Okay, so now we should have our pipes back where they should be. But that doesn't solve the problem of why isn't this happening. So our player hits pipes, on trigger, enter 2D, collider to the other. Just want to do a little test, so we'll just do a debug.log and a little message to come up to say that we've hit the pipe. Come on, Mr. Flappo. Okay, so it's not detecting that we're hitting the pipe. Maybe that's because Mr. Flap's here. Maybe he needs to have a trigger collider on him. Let's just test that out. Whoa, where are you going? Huh. Did I spell Mr. Flaps wrong? Okay, let's try doing this a different way. If other.get component flapping. Wait, no, can I just say has component? If other dot, no, it is get component. If other dot get component flapping is not equal to null. So basically, if we can get flapping, so if our player has the flapping object, developing action RPG by myself from scratch took 2 years and 7 months. Wow. I learned a lot of things about animating and programming. I regret that. Yeah. That time could have been spent finishing smaller solo projects. You have to weigh what's important to you and if you can make it or not. Yep. Will you be able to help me make a script where the character goes to where you touch on the screen? Yes, I would. Is it JD Aiken or J Dakin? One of those. I'm always terrible with names. Yeah, send me a message on YouTube. Oh God, I hit the microphone. Sorry. Send me a message on YouTube and we'll sort it out. I'll see what's happening. Okay, so Mr. Flaps, this time will you hit the pipe and maybe do something? He does hit the pipe a bit too much, I'll be honest with you. God, why is this not happening? Why is not... Is it just because he's a trigger now it's not working? J. Dakin, there you go. I don't understand this. Like it is, that script is attached. Player hit pipe. On trigger, enter 2D. Huh. I'm not really sure what's going on here. Anybody out there got any crazy suggestions? So our pipes are definitely fine in the game manager. Mr. Flaps, come here. You're going to be tested out on stuff over here. So this pipe, so its trigger is definitely there. It's that outside one. We got Mr. Flaps here. On trigger, enter. I don't understand why this isn't working. On trigger, enter 2D. Google it. Well, I don't even know where to start to Google because I just don't understand what's not working here. I feel like I'm missing something, but I don't know what that something is. They're on the same depth line. They are, but that doesn't matter in 2D. On trigger, enter 2D. Blah, 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 blah. I'll tell you what, I'm just going to... Oops. So the only time any triggers should be entering anything is when the player is going along. So we're just going to test this if it's because of the if statement I'm using. Maybe if you attach the code to Mr. Flaps. Maybe. Curiouser and curiouser. Okay, so on flapping, let's try doing it from here. Don't really know why this would be the case, but anyway. Okay, so void on trigger, enter 2D. Collider 2D other. Did you remember to make the box colliders triggers? Yes, the box colliders are triggers. I mean, I'll try again. Hold on. I tried making Mr. Flaps a trigger again, but that didn't really do anything good for me. Excuse me. Like one of the boxes around the pipe certainly is a trigger, and it is definitely the larger box around the pipe. See, look, if I make him a trigger, he just goes through everything, obviously, which is no good. Choose movement method to reach the location, either LARP or custom movement. Yeah. That's the basics of it, APRO, definitely. Okay, so on trigger enter 2D, if other dot tag equals pipe, because we're going to give all those pipes a tag in a second. If that's true, then let's just find the object of the game manager. Find object of type game manager dot reset game. And also debug.log hit pipe. Okay, so let's try doing it this way. Tried using camera.main.screen to real world or something. You should be able to just get the pointer position relatively straightforward. So the pipes, we need to give them a tag. Tag of pipe. It was just pipe, it wasn't pipes, was it? Yeah, just pipe. So we'll give that to all of these guys. Bam. Okay, and we'll hit play. No, it's not working. Why isn't it working? And this one might be because Mr. Flaps doesn't have a trigger. Nope. I'm 100% confused by this. 100% confused. I mean, I've used on trigger enter a million times. Let's see if there's something weird that I'm typing in wrong. Give the pipes box collider 2D. Yeah, no, they're definitely box collider 2D. You had me worried there for a second. I was like, did I give them normal box colliders? No, they're definitely box collider 2D. So void on trigger enter 2D, collider 2D other. Yep. That's exactly what I did. Void on trigger enter 2D, collider 2D other. What's up? What's going on here? So just try one more little thing here. If other dot game object dot tag. I'll try this. I don't think this will work, but we'll try it. Check the pipe Z position. No, it's definitely not the Z position because that doesn't affect 2D 2D physics at all. Cause my Flappy guy is running into the pipes. He's banging against the pipes. So it's definitely not that he's not interacting with them. Do you know what I mean? The problem is just somewhere along the line, the on trigger enter just isn't working. Hold on. Yeah, no, they're definitely not. Just making sure that they weren't not colliding for some reason. Would it help to detect the collision in the game manager script? No, it wouldn't, because the game manager isn't attached to anything at all, so it wouldn't know how to detect the collision. Because the idea is basically that so the script is attached to. I know what the problem is. The problem is that. Maybe I'm wrong. I think this is the problem. The problem is the script is attached to our pipe's overall holder, which doesn't have any triggers on it. When it should be attached to these pipes here. Silly man that I am. Okay, so let's try to do this. attach it to these guys. Okay, fingers crossed this will work now. There we go, yay! All my pipes aren't being destroyed, but that's okay, that's something we can just work out in a second. But look, yes, that was the problem. There we go. Okay, it was just me being stupid. Okay, so in our game manager, resetting the game, so our pipes aren't being destroyed, so that's fine. So we're going to create a destroy object array. Nope, that doesn't work. Pipes I dash okay, so why aren't the pipes being destroyed? Again, let's just, rather than sitting here thinking about it for a while, let's have a look at what I use in my endless runner. So let's go to the game manager from that. I'm going to open that up, just give that a second to open up. But yeah, there you go. So don't attach your scripts to the wrong object. That doesn't help anybody. Now, if Mono Developer would open up, we'd be flying along. Okay, so it's definitely resetting. We need to make sure that our pipes are being destroyed ahead of us. This is all very helpful to see you troubleshoot issues. Usually don't see that in edited tutorials. Yeah, that was part of the idea of today as well, is to show the whole process of doing it, like not just the finished kind of like sensible stuff. The idea is to see me making these mistakes. That's why I decided to do this without, like, I had no plan in place for this game. I just had an idea of, let's make Flappy Bird. So platform. Yeah, that should. Okay, so let's just make a new array here. So private, destroy objects array. Say we'll just call this the pipe list. So then here we'll just say pipe list equals find objects of type destroy objects, like that. And then here we'll say pipe list and destroy pipe list. There we go. Okay, so we just renamed all those little bits and pieces. Oh, I think actually this should work better for us. Need to go buy dinner. We'll finish the video when I'm back. Good luck, James. Later, people. Cool. Thanks for stopping by, Apro. You were helpful for sure, and I was forgetful for sure. Okay, why aren't my pipes being destroyed? Oh, because it's destroying. Yes. It's destroying. No, that doesn't make sense either. So let me just have a look here. I'm going to go into debug mode. grab Mr. Flaps and make him hit a pipe like this. So I want to see what happens when we hit a pipe. So currently, where are we? Oh, we need to be on Game Manager. There we go. Our pipe list starts off empty. Why is it missing? Let's try this. Pipe list I dot game object dot maybe I should say yeah, maybe I should destroy the pipe list dot game object. Yeah, that makes sense actually. Hold on, let's just delete this little bit here. We're just going to add dot game object after that. I think that should work now. Is there a reason to make variables private or public? Why can't you make all variables public? It's kind of just more for your own use, really, I suppose, because say I don't have any examples here, but look, for example, right? Imagine you've got a huge, big, massive script full of like lots and lots of different things going on. Like, for example, the player controller in my game, Portal Knots, there's a lot of variables in it. There's like, I don't know, maybe 100 different variables going on. And a lot of them are private because, for example, we're here, right? We've got 2 public things here and 6 overall things. And if we go back into our thing here, oh wait, that's that's a different thing. Here we go. In our game manager here, we've got 2 publics and we've got 3 private stuff. So you can imagine if we have like a list of like 100 variables we've got, and say maybe 20 of them are public, that's okay, because then if we go back in here and look at our pipe generator, if we turn this back to normal, okay, pipe generator is a bad example because I just realized that they're full of public ones. Are they? Oh no, it's game manager, sorry. Here we go, game manager. So we've got 2 little variables here, and we've got another 3 private ones that you can't see because you can't affect them from within. You don't want to be able to make any changes to them within the editor, so there's no point in having them here. All they do is clutter up your space and kind of make it harder to find the things that you do want to change, which is these Mr. Flaps and pipe generator here, for example. So you want to be only able to see, you only want to have public the things that you're going to want to change variables of. Anything that's going to be generated when your script, there's no need for you to be able to see that. It's just going to clutter up your space and make your work harder. So it's easier to keep them private in that example. The other use for it is if you're using another script that's calling onto, so say on Game Manager here, if we just go back in, say if we had another script that wanted to know where does Mr. Flap start, because we want to reset something else to go there if something else happens, I don't know, if Say another player dies, we want that player to be able to go back to where Mr. Flap starts. We could do that from another script, but we'd need to make that public so that other scripts could access it. So that's the only other reason you would really want to make something public. But in general, that's kind of the basic idea of it. So basically it helps organize stuff. Yeah, kind of. It does have other uses, like I was saying, with that kind of stuff, but that's the general overview of it. Kind of. Okay, so what were we doing there? Oh yeah, we want to check in and make sure the pipes are being disappeared. There we go. Pipes being destroyed. just going to watch. As you can see, they're being destroyed each time. And our Flappy dude is flapping along. Perfect. Okay, so the other thing, the one other main thing we want to add, we've got pretty much most of the basics here now. Everything else is kind of just cosmetic and stuff, but we're getting the most basic stuff down. I don't have too much longer for the stream here now anyway, but we're going to quickly create a little score system. So we're going to create a score manager like this, and we're going to add some UI onto the screen. So assets up here, we're going to create game object UI text. Gives that a second to create. Okay, we got our text, so we're going to call this score whatever. As you can see, it's been placed in the bottom left here. That's not very much like we want to use. Actually, just realized the background is kind of an annoying color as well. Let's change the color of the background to kind of a bit. Our bird is blue, so maybe we can't really use. We'll just go with a blue sky. It's fine. A bit brighter of a blue sky. There we go. Okay. So we got our bird dude. We got our pipes. That's all grand. We got our score down the corner here. That's kind of annoying. So we're going to move our score. By doing that, we'll pop the text up here like this. I'm going to make it bold as well, so it stands out a bit. And since the sky is nice and bright now, we'll actually change the color to black so we can see it perfectly fine. I see how you can create public and private variables in CS, but when I'm typing in JS, I'm not sure how Unity decides which one is public and which is private. I think you can declare public and private in JavaScript as well. I'm not 100% sure. I use C# for everything, but I'm fairly certain from when I was looking at it before, you can declare public and private with JavaScript. And I think if you don't declare anything, I think by default they might be public. I could be wrong with that, but I think by default they're public in JavaScript. So we've got our score. We're going to attach the score manager script to that, and then we're going to start putting some stuff in the score manager script. So let's go here. Score manager, are you open? No, you're not. Right, here we go. Okay, so we also want to use using Unity Engine .ui. So here we go. Someone was asking a while ago about why to use Visual Studio. This is another example of why you want to use it. There's certain things you want to use to import. Most of the time I don't remember how to the names of things that you need to import. But it's handy with this because you start typing something and it goes, okay, if you want to use something, it's probably going to be within Unity Engine there like that, and then you hit the dot and suddenly we have lots of options here, so we can do extra audio stuff, the event system, all these extra things, but we want to use UI, so that's perfect, super duper handy. So we want to be able to edit the text, so private text, we just call this the text that we're using, and then here we'll say the text is equal to get component that we have here, and the component we want to get is the text. Perfect. Okay, and then we'll need our score value. So we'll use a public int score counter, say, and then in our update loop we will just say we want to make sure that the text is always displaying the current score, so we will say the text is equal to score : and then a space, and then we'll add on the score counter. So we've got our score counter there. We'll want to reset the score when we die, so we'll have a public void reset score, and basically all that will do, we'll just say score counter equals 0, and we want to be able to add score from outside as well, so we'll just say public void add score, and the score we'll add on, we'll just have to take in a value to this, so that'll be int score to add, and so then score counter plus equals score to add. Can you do a 3D game series? I will be doing that at some point in the future, Danny. I was still typing, I didn't mean to send it yet. Hello Renzo. That's okay, don't worry. You don't have to say hello straight away, it's okay. Your tutorial's helped me a lot. Cool, I'm glad to help out, Alex. Visual Studio is really better than Monodevelop, it really is. How do you get Visual Studio? Yeah, Google Visual Studio, or just go with Microsoft VS 2013. No, go with Microsoft VS 2015 now, is free and easy. Or if you're installing the latest version of Unity, which is Unity 5.2, there will be an option during the installation to install Visual Studio at the same time. So I'd recommend to do that. That's exactly what I did for the current version of Unity. Previously you had to download a separate special package that you had to import to Unity, and you had to import it into every single project as you're going along. But yeah. By the way, it's not free. It is free for personal use. Or for single person use, I mean. It's not free for if you're a company with multiple people, you have to buy licenses and stuff. But anyway, okay, so we've got our score counter, we've got simple things to add to our score, and then we need a way to add the score. Also in our game manager here, we need to be able to look at that score manager. Actually, no, we don't even need to look at the score manager. When we're killed, we'll just find the score manager and reset the score. So we'll just say find object of type score manager. So we find the score manager, and we'll say dot score counter. No, not even the score counter. We'll just say find the score manager dot reset score. That's all we need to do for that. There. And then we need a simple little script to add score when our player passes the pipes. So we'll just create a new script. Create C#. If it'll create it in a second. And we'll just call that points for passing. And we have to make sure and remember that we're only going to give a point for passing the bottom one. We won't put it on both pipes, we'll only put it on one. Actually no, we'll just put it on the main pipes holder. What am I talking about? That makes more sense. So in here, open to reload, open points for passing here. Okay, we just need to find the player. So public game object, public flapping, which is our player. I really should have just called that the player script, but anyway, we'll just say Mr. Flaps, and we need to know whether the player has passed our pipe yet. So public bool has passed. So then in our update loop, what we just say is if Mr. Flaps dot transform dot position dot x. So if the position of the x position going that way of Mr. Flaps is greater than the x position of the pipe, the current pipe that this script is attached to, if that's true, and not has passed. So if the player hasn't passed the pipe yet, or no, if the player, if our has passed value is still false and the player passes the pipe, what we're going to do is add a bit of score onto the score manager and then set has passed to be true, so that it won't add it again the next time around. Awesome 3D will be cool. Your tutorials help me load, so thanks. Cool. That's awesome, Danny. Yep, and it should be fun. Is the code the same on Mono Develop as it is on Visual Studio? Yep, as the others were saying, yes, it is indeed. The program doesn't change how you code. It's just an interface for coding, basically. How would you make a game with C++ on Visual Studio? Better use code blocks. You're building things from scratch. I wouldn't be the place to start teaching you how to do that, I'll be honest with you. I like the way Unity handles stuff. C++ is just a different language, but if you're going to be coding stuff with C++ from scratch, it's going to be a lot more work, building your own engine and stuff and whatnot. But anyway, so yeah, if we pass the point, then we'll just say find object of type score manager. Actually, no, we'll do that in the start function. Apparently Firefox 39 is available. Oh, yay, I don't care. Private score manager. The score. And then we'll just say in here. In our start function, we'll just say the score is equal to, whoops, like that. And then in this bit we'll just say the score dot score counter, isn't it? Yeah, score counter plus equals 1. So we're just adding 1 when we pass the point, and then has passed is equal to true, like that. So we'll save, go back in here. If we play the game, oh no, well, this won't do anything because we haven't added the script to our pipes. So we just here, what do we call that script? We call it points for passing. There we go. So points for passing. So it has passed, blah blah blah. It'll automatically find Mr. Flaps. So now we press play. Get this going on. Oh, we got a null reference. What's going on here? Points for passing 19. So what's line 19 here? Oh, why doesn't it show the numbers on the side? View. I can't remember how to turn on the line numbers on the side. That's kind of annoying. Yes, that's fine. Oops, didn't mean to put that there. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. Mr. Flaps are transformed opposition dot x. Huh. Is it not finding Mr. Flaps? Oh, because we didn't tell it to find Mr. Flaps. That was silly. Mr. Flaps equals find object of type flapping. There we go. That was the problem there. Silly, silly man. To wait for Unity to compile that. Hi Sir James, I would like to request a tutorial by hitting a coin box like a Super Mario games. Hoping you reply, thank you. Yep, that's something. That's definitely something that I would like to cover. It's something that would be relatively straightforward as well. Okay, so we've got Unity opening here. It's still compiling in the corner. And then we should hopefully have our score system working now. Come on, Flappy guy. Oh, if I could play the game. Oh, there we go. We got a score. You got another score. Then I died. So this is about as far as I ever get in Flappy Bird anyway. But there we go. So that's pretty much all the basics of Flappy Bird covered. What's missing is, I suppose, a slightly more detailed background. We would need maybe a high score system to save what your best score is, like an end screen, which would be very straightforward. It would just be generated by the game manager, like a main menu, I suppose, for when you start the game, which the one for Flappy Bird is very, very simple, and a little bit of animation on this guy, so instead of just looking like he's bouncing up and down like this, he would actually be kind of rotating as he's going. So I think maybe I might do another live stream in the near future where we'll revisit this and we'll come back and have a look at our Flappy guy flapping away. But as it stands at the moment, this is the most basic version of this. But it works perfectly fine. That's exactly what Flappy Bird is. There's not too much more to it. Everything else is just polish. Like how much he jumps up and down, how fast he falls and things like that. That's all just like fiddling around with the numbers on the player. So if you go to Mr. Flaps here, fiddling around with these numbers, fiddling around with the mass and the gravity and stuff like that. That's all that is. But like the basics of the system are here. We've got randomly generating pipes going forever ahead of us. We get reset back to the start when we die. Our Flappy Bird guy is going along. Oh, actually, sorry, there's one thing we're missing, which is if he falls off the bottom or the top of the screen. So actually we'll just quickly do that because I don't want to leave. We want to cover all the basics of everything that we've got going on here. So all that is going to be is just on the camera. We're going to create what we're going to call a kill box. We're going to give that a box collider 2D. Make it a trigger. We're going to make it really wide. All it really has to be is wider than the camera, and then we're going. Ooh, no, didn't mean to do that. And just move it up here. It's a little bit off the screen, so you have a little bit of leeway, like that. Maybe just a little bit down. We're going to add the player hit pipe, because that's the exact same thing as when you hit a pipe. Is what this is. So we've got that right there. We're going to duplicate that, like so, and just drag it down to the bottom here. So now we've got one on top, one on bottom. So now if you run the game, we go like this, and if I actually look at what I'm doing, so if we fall down to the bottom, the game gets reset. If we fly all the way up the top, woo, the game gets reset as well. I've added so much upwards velocity, he keeps getting reset. So we'd probably want to reset his velocity as well when the game is reset. But again, stuff like that is just like very simple and very straightforward. So here we'll just do it quickly. Mr. Flaps dot get component rigid body 2D dot velocity equals velocity equals vector tree dot 0. So he's starting off with 0 velocity basically. So if we go back and test that out, we should see that he won't have anything crazy going on. James, have I got any way to contact you? Yeah, as Danny said, I have a Facebook page, or you can message me on YouTube. You don't reply on there, ask a question on there before. Oh, sorry, I must have just missed your question. Sorry. I do get a few messages and stuff on Facebook, and sometimes things get a little bit lost. But yes, message me away. I'm always happy to answer anything for people. Let me just hit this play. Make sure this is all working fine, and then I think we'll be all finished for today's stream. Look at, yeah, so we can see like he's not retaining his upwards movement. I keep tapping space here. He's just slowly falling down there. If I can make it up, he doesn't keep going. He doesn't keep flying up. You see, so that's perfect. That's fine. So yeah, there we go. That's all the basics of your Flappy Bird kind of thing. This video will be up on YouTube probably later. I think it has to be processed and stuff like that. But for now, thanks for watching, everybody. This has been a fun stream. When is the next live stream coming? I won't give a firm number because I know my internet has been changed this week, so I can't give a exact time. But there will be upcoming in the near future. And if my internet is better, there'll probably be a few more live streams and maybe some more other things as well. So yes, thanks for watching, thanks for hanging around, and I will hopefully see you all in the very near future. And of course, if you're not subscribed, I don't know why you wouldn't be, so go do that. And of course, if you help support the show on Patreon, that's immensely appreciated, and I'll be eternally grateful because you're all pretty cool people. And most importantly, if you've been learning from these tutorials that I'm doing here on the channel and you go ahead and make your own game, let me know. I want to play that game. I want to play stuff that people are creating, especially if it's stuff that they've learned from me somehow. So yeah, thanks for watching, and live streams shall return soon. Goodbye. Goodbye.